This is the first time Roland has used his abilities since becoming a super reverse, and Ren Xiaosu has improved his ability to the extreme. After Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojing eliminated the sniper in an instant, Roland also felt a little itchy. He directly summoned 12 golden shadows from his body, but he never used his ability, so I don't quite understand how to unleash their combat effectiveness. Although the physical strength of 12 of them has been enhanced, but it's still a little worse than the supervillains. At this time, Ren Xiaosu thought for a moment. Suddenly, several boxes of arms were taken out from the storage space, including 2 heavy machine guns, 10 automatic rifles, several boxes of bullets and grenades. I think they are all professional soldiers, and they are all elites in Qin City's army. It would be better to let them use thermal weapons directly. Find a suitable location to suppress the fire company. I still have a question. Will they die after being shot? Won't. A soldier from Qin City said. It doesn't actually matter if you can fly. Ren Xiaosu nodded. Roland's ability seems a bit useless. After all, 12 soldiers count as elites. It's also difficult to compete head-on with super rebels. But Ren Xiaosu has developed so many abilities. I have already used my abilities to play tricks, so I am quite experienced in how to develop abilities. These 12 heroic spirits are immortal. How terrifying is a machine gun position that can never be destroyed? I'm afraid this will happen in a large war. It's enough to give any army a headache. And now Roland has only recruited 12 heroic spirits. What if a group army is formed in the future? When the time comes, tens of thousands of heroic spirit groups will fight and they won't die. Even the same as Rishinton. If you play well, one person can subvert a consortium. But now it's a bit unfair to leave this ability in Roland's hands. Although the firepower points that cannot be killed are still very powerful. But I always feel that it's almost meaningless. But I am just one short of a perfect learning map. This ability can shine in your own hands. At this time Ren Xiaosu said to Roland, you take 12 heroic spirits to establish a firepower point. Then Yang Xiaojing and I came to harvest them. At the same time on the other side, Pyro Corps combat troops. It has gradually formed a fan shape to surround it. This formation clearly wants to catch them all in one fell swoop. Cheng Yu glanced at Wang Yun beside him and frowned. I see you are not with that boy. Is it like a deal was made? Why didn't you go with them? Wang Yun smiled. Didn't you realize that the 5 of them are together? Although there is a transaction. But if danger arises, it will be abandoned. It must be me, an outsider. We have no friendship with each other. In this case, it is better to run with the large group. Cheng Yu was puzzled. Then why are you following me? Wang Yunho smiled cheekily. Although your illusion is weak, but escaping is first class. The stealth attack is also top-notch. Otherwise, let's work together. At this time, a group of fire combat troops passed through the mountains and forests, gradually approaching the location of Nuriyu and others. But in their field of vision, there are only dead trees and rocks here. Not a single soul was seen. Just as the team passed through this area, the big tree behind them, it disappeared like light and shadow. Wang Yun sneered and rushed past these people. Just a moment's work. Wang Yun killed 7 people. Wait until the Tinder company reacts. Wang Yun disappeared into the air again. Tinder people want to chase after them, but they all lost their feet and fell to the ground. That looks like solid ground. It turned out to be a pit. This forest has been carefully decorated by Cheng Yu. Makes it difficult to distinguish between reality and fiction. Cheng Yu's own lethality is limited, but he suddenly found that his cooperation with Wang Yun was particularly smooth. Only he can see through the essence of the illusion he created. For example, others cooperate with him. It's easy to be tricked to death by his illusions just like the enemy. But Wang Luan is different. His memory ability is extremely powerful. No matter how Cheng Yu's illusion changes, he always remembered what the woods looked like originally, and he can quickly plan all the attack routes for himself, and how to lead the enemy into the pit. But just when Wang Yun was preparing to continue harvesting, there was a person in the woods hitting him like a cannonball. Collide with the king's destiny without any deviation. Wang Yun spit out a mouthful of blood when he saw him in the air. Shauna waited until he landed and didn't care how much pain he felt. He quickly crawled on the ground and got into the illusion. It's T5. Everyone is not even showing off at this moment. I'm afraid that the other person will have the ability to hear the voice and identify the location. Then T5 stands calmly in the illusion. He didn't seem to think that Chungyu and others could do any harm to him. T5 uses its ears to search for any unusual movements nearby. The illusion is not lifted. He doesn't have the ability to see through illusions either. Chungyu looked at Wang Yun silently, but Wang Yun made a gesture to him. Cover King. Chungyu became suspicious when he saw this gesture. Is Wang Yun really so strong? Want to kill T5? No time to think too much. The next moment, Chungyu gave a signal to his assistant to prepare for battle. Can happen unexpectedly. Wang Yun was lying on the ground silently, but his internal injuries were so severe that he couldn't help but cough up a mouthful of blood. This sound is like a death signal. T5's figure disappears on the spot. In just the blink of an eye, Wang Yun was in front of him and slashed with his knife. Chungyu activates illusion. I want to use illusions to confuse T5's vision. Wang Yun's subordinates had already rushed out to rescue him desperately. But how can they be as fast as T5? I saw the blade in T5's hand slashing straight down. A shrill whistling sound filled the air. But something strange happened the next moment. Wang Yun floated back like a feather. The sword from T5 was actually cut into the air. The next moment, 4 of his subordinates opened fire. The bullet can only get stuck on the surface of T5's skin. Wang Yun felt furious. This T5 is indeed as copper-headed and iron-armed as the legend says. Not even an automatic rifle can penetrate it. But Wang Yun refused to retreat and fought back. It actually floated towards T5. Wang Yun's eyes are red. Point one finger toward T5's oracle. The originally empty air rushed into T5's ears crazily. They keep squeezing in the narrow ear holes. So much so that T5 roared in pain. At this time, the knife in T5's hand has fallen on Wang Yun's chest. But Wang Yun completed the final empty report. Penetrated T5's eardrum with strong air pressure. Then penetrate the brain. Chengyu ran over to check Wang Yun's injury. I thought that Wang Yun might not be able to survive. But he was horrified to find that Wang Yun was still wearing a thin body armor. The T5 knife even cut through the body armor. But fortunately, although Wang Yun had a stab wound on his chest, but the internal organs escaped unharmed. Wang Yun looked pale and touched himself all over. Finally, with trembling arms, I took out a small bottle of black medicine. His blood is losing rapidly. Wang Yun doesn't know if this black medicine can save him. When he went to Ren Xiaosu to buy black medicine, he kept some for himself. Just use it to prevent yourself from getting hurt on the holy mountain. Chengyu sighed. The power of T5 must be experienced personally to know how terrifying it is. I don't know how that white mass crushed T5. Wang Yun said with difficulty. Get out of here quickly. I'm afraid there is more than one T5. At this time Roland had already found a small hillside. From time to time, the roar of sniper rifles can be heard next to my ears. Roland knew that Ren Xiaosu and Miss Yang were already fighting. He sighed. Who will have a headache when meeting these two people? There are a lot of people who can't kill people as efficiently as these two. I saw the heroic spirit beside Roland digging trenches. Build a bunker. Build a bunker. Each one of them built a defensive offensive with extremely quick hands and feet. At this time, combat troops from Fire Company have entered the combat area. However, the heroic spirits did not shoot directly but waited. What they want to do is not to wipe out the fire, but to annihilate the opponent completely. The big liar is posting in the defense offensive. I said you all in Qin City are ruthless people. 12 people are determined to annihilate hundreds of people on the other side. Roland looked at the big fool curiously. By the way, what are your abilities? We in Qinshur have been following you for a long time. But why have I never seen you use your abilities? Could he be just an ordinary person? The big fool laughed twice. You will know when T5 appears. While they were talking, the Fire Company finally entered the position preset by the heroic spirits. Then the 2 machine guns roared like meat grinding machines. People from Tinder Company never expected. There are people here who dare to set up defensive positions, ambush them in turn. Fire company's combat troops fell in pieces. But there is another person who shuttles between the mountains and feels like a ghost, getting closer to them. Zhou Qi glanced at the big liar. Okay, let's get up. T5 is coming. I saw that T5 was getting closer and closer to the machine gun position. The other party seemed to ignore the heavy machine gun at all. No matter how the heroic spirits adjusted the angle of their heavy machine guns, they could not hit him. At the moment when T5 is about to break into the defensive position, the big fool stood up silently. The reason why you haven't seen my ability, it's because I really don't have any special abilities. Just brute strength. After saying that, the big liar stepped on his cloth shoes and stepped out of the position, facing the wild beast running wildly. Roland looked at the big liar in confusion. Is this going to die? But then he saw the big fool's forearms after rolling up his sleeves, full of muscles seeking disaster, as if he suddenly changed from a fortune teller to a bodybuilder. I saw T5 and the big fool colliding in the air. And T5, which has always been famous for its physical fitness, he was actually punched by a big fool and was knocked back. How deep is the big fraud hidden? On the surface, he is a bad old man who tells fortunes. Secretly, he is an intelligence officer of Fortress 178. What is even more unimaginable is that he is also a power awakener. Even T5 can't resist it with its brute strength. Roland couldn't help but celebrate when he saw this. Those old men who were celebrating the event said they would arrest him. Fortunately, Qingjin said that Liao Weilian had a relationship with Fortress 178 and did not take action. But these days, few people pay attention to the power system. But that's definitely because most power systems are not strong enough. Ren Xiaosu also tried cheating at first, but I haven't tested out the truth at all. Now he doesn't pretend anymore. He showed his hand. Fight with your own young commander. You can't just applaud, right? I saw the big fool wearing rag shoes and not retreating but advancing. Walk further towards T5. He also said as he walked. Little brother, I see you have suffered a bloody disaster today. Roland's mouth twitched. This is the most hardcore fortune teller he has ever seen. Say you have a bloody disaster. Then you really have to have it or not. Just go ahead and cheat on the strength you just showed. 99% of the extraordinary beings in this world cannot escape this bloody disaster. T5 looked at the big fool and sneered. Do you think I just used all my strength? The big fool scratched his head and laughed. It sounds like someone used all their strength. The words just fell. Then T5 suddenly ran to the left. And when he moved, the big fool also started to move. Both sides always walk side by side. T5 saw that it was impossible to get rid of the big liar. Just stop holding space for yourself. Instead, they collided with the big fool with fists and fists. These two are fighting. The trees next to it suffered. It looks like a punch without much strength. Can topple trees casually. Roland, Zhou Qi and others watched. Because these two people were fighting and entangled as if they were phantoms. No one dares to help rashly, afraid of hurting someone else. This fight is like a visual feast. Nothing fancy at all. Every blow makes me sweat more. But it's just a moment's work. The two sides are fighting to the fullest. Suddenly, a delicate blade suddenly appeared in the palm of the big fool's hand. The fist turned into an oil palm. I don't know what the blade is made of. A huge wound was cut on T5's chest. T5 was caught off guard and retreated. You humans are indeed as despicable as ever. The big fool smiled shyly. Then you can't just punch, right? Do you think this injury can kill me? T5 moves hands and feet. Looks like he's getting serious. But the big liar said with a smile, it's hard for me to kill you, but it's easier for others. Suddenly, T5 suddenly saw that the blood in his wound seemed to be unable to stop flowing. Originally, this small injury could be completely healed for him in up to 3 hours. Stopping bleeding is a matter of minutes. But now the bleeding can't stop at all. But he responded quickly. T5 immediately looked up at Zhou Qi. I found Zhou Qi smiling strangely at him. Zhou Qi's ability is to control water. It's actually quite difficult to absorb moisture from the air. So if you are not by the river during the battle, this will make Zhou Qi more passive. But later Qingjin told him, why sacrifice the near for the far? The human body is full of water. Henceforth, Zhou Qi's abilities have become extremely weird. People without wounds. He can't control other people's blood. But now the big liar has created an opportunity for him. T5 is already a dead person in his eyes. T5 turns around and runs when he sees something is wrong. But how can he escape from the entanglement of the big liar? After running a few steps, I was overtaken by the big fool. We can only respond hastily. Over time, T5 only feels that he is getting weaker and weaker. Those drops of blood were forcibly taken out of the body by Zhou Qi, until he went into complete shock. Blood is flying in the air like a blood snail, flying all the way back to Zhou Qi, flying around. The big fool looked at Roland and the others and grinned. Not bad. Roland gives a thumbs up. Okay, great. As expected, the old man's sword is still young. From now on, Roland decides to be more polite to the big liar, to save the other party from saying that he has suffered a bloody disaster one day. Moreover, Roland was very suspicious that the big fool had hidden his strength during the battle, because until now the other party, not even the shoes were broken. This is not because Roland insists on picking out details. He has seen many masters fight. It's almost commonplace to break a pair of shoes while running wildly. His physical strength is really too strong. But the big fool had a fight with T5 and didn't even break his rag shoes. This controls the power. The Northwest is really full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Roland whispered softly, do you live in a colder place? Easier to awaken extraordinary abilities. Do you want me to meet my brother? Send a group of people to exercise on the plateau in the west. A heroic spirit of filial piety. Boss, I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is what Chief Qingjin is already doing. Roland curled his lips. Okay. Thinking about me again. Roland feels very at ease now. Originally, he thought the holy mountain was dangerous. Only now did I find out. The people around me are more energetic than the others. At this time, another fire team appeared not far away, but not before they get close. Sniper bullets flying from nowhere directly kill the commander of the combat unit. The Pyrotech Company was originally looking for Roland and the others. When the sniper appears, they immediately change their targets. Roland sat helplessly on the defensive position. These teammates are so fierce. There's absolutely no room for you to express yourself. Sudden Fire Company's blocking battle lasted from noon to dusk. Ren Xiaosu stepped on the rotten and soft leaves and headed south. Yang Xiaojing walked in front. From time to time I look around. Once you encounter a suitable location for an ambush, they will stop, again causing heavy damage to the fire troops behind him. Two men carrying sniper rifles walking on the mountain road. Like guerrilla comrades. Dinner and sleep together. Kill all the enemies together. Maybe the Tinder Company didn't even think of it. These two snipers walk together. How much oppression will it bring to their combat troops? According to original plan, Tinder Company can completely use its own snipers to help. Complete fire suppression on Chengyu, Wang Yun, and all of them. And then slowly eat away at their power. In the end, the team that came in from Anjing's fourth generation was defeated. But there were problems with this plan from the beginning. The sniper is gone. Two snipers versus two snipers. Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojing had a blast playing on Tinder. Then Pyro's combat forces began targeting them. Snipers have to carry heavy sniper rifles. The physical exertion during long journeys will be much higher than that of normal soldiers. Moreover, Tinder's team is composed entirely of T3 sequences. It shouldn't be difficult to catch up with two snipers, right? No more distance suppression. The threat from snipers is no longer that great. Tinder Company has many people, but in the subsequent chase, Fire's combat troops are all chasing and vomiting blood. I couldn't catch up with these two people either. At this time they finally realized. These two snipers are actually extraordinary people. To be honest, this is a bit bullying. Yang Xiaojing looked at a mountain in front and said, let's complete the final ambush here. The other party should have guessed that we are here. but their range is too far behind ours. Okay, listen to you. Ren Xiaosu climbed up the hillside with his bare hands. When he wanted to pull Yang Xiaojing back, the opponent has already climbed up. Meet the eyes. Ren Xiaosu saw that Yang Xiaojing's face was dirty. The hair is also a bit messy, but inexplicably tempting. This moment, the dust on the other woman's face is better than the powder on other women's faces. Yang Xiaojing skillfully found a suitable shooting position. He was observing the target through the scope, while saying, "Does it look good? Nice." Ren Xiaosu admitted with a smile. "Kill these people, and then take your time." Okay. Ren Xiaosu took out the coffin mirror. There are still about 2,100 meters away from us. What distance are you going to wait for them to get into to start? 1,560 meters. Yang Xiaojing said. Let them come closer. To prevent them from running away. Ren Xiaosu held up the coffin plate mirror and began to search the mountains and fields. In fact, combat troops really don't pose much of a threat to them. The only thing that worries people is, I don't know where the T5 is hidden. If you are not worried about T5 sneak attack, they would have killed each other long ago. What's the point of fighting guerrillas? The most taboo thing in this kind of battlefield is that you think you are sure to win. As a result, the boat capsized in the gutter. Always preserving strength and preparing to deal with crises is the way to survive. At this time, Ren Xiaosu's heart was filled with dust. There were actually 2 T5s following us. I asked why this group of combat troops were still angry even after half of them were destroyed. It turns out there is a backup plan. How to say? Yang Xiaojing looked at Ren Xiaosu. Solve T5 first. Ren Xiaosu thought for a moment and said, Do you remember? Our sniper rifle also comes with a missile. What effect? Yang Xiaojing asked. I don't know either. Never had a chance to try. Why not try it this time? What if there is a surprise? The corners of Yang Xiaojing's mouth curled up slightly. I've wanted to try it for a long time. The girl aims at AT5 in the combat unit at sunset. Suddenly the trigger was pulled. A bullet as black as ink burst out from the barrel of the gun, and then affected by the geostrophic deflection force, weaving through the air in a slightly curved arc, spanning a distance of nearly 2,000 meters. Originally, both Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojing thought it would take a while for the bullet to arrive. After all, it would take more than 2 seconds for a black sniper bullet to fly across 2,000 meters. However, Ren Xiaosu saw in the viewing mirror that he was just halfway through the short range. Then T5 is already important. A large black mist exploded on him. The bullet passed through his heart. Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojing looked at each other. They all realized the importance of this black bomb. The reason why snipers have nothing to do with extraordinary people from long distances. It is precisely because it is easy for others to seize opportunities. And now the bullets are shorter. Time shortened by more than half. Even T5 can't avoid it. You must know that the physical fitness of most extraordinary people in this world is not as good as T5. That means Yang Xiaojing now has the possibility of killing most extraordinary beings with one hit. After Yang Xiaojing received the black sniper gifted by Ren Xiaosu, he actually has the power to kill an extraordinary person with one strike. Although Yang Xiaojing's sniper rifle was powerful in the past, but his own upper limit has always been objectively limited by the sniper rifle. It's not that sniper rifles are not powerful, but the extraordinary ones are becoming more and more powerful. But when Yang Xiaojing got a spy, developed the ability of black bombs. As a result, Yang Xiaojing's upper limit was raised again. When he instantly killed AT-5 Tinder personnel with a black bullet, Yang Xiaojing showed a serious expression. I have a chance to test the power of this black bomb, and its actual ballistic speed. Even T5 can be inflicted with penetrating injuries. There should be no one who can stop this round now. Suddenly Ren Xiaosu made a mistake. This T5 wound is turning black. Yang Xiaojing also looked over. I saw the corpse of T5. There is black color spreading around the wound. Just 2.5 seconds. The whole body turned black. Although Ren Xiaosu doesn't know why it turned black, but he feels that turning black will not be easy, because the palace never does unnecessary things. At this time, Another T5 dragged the body of his teammate. I found a bunker. Want to check the injuries of teammates. But just when my hand touched the corpse, my fingers started to turn black. Just 2.5 seconds. The weird black color spread to the neck. This person retreated in a hurry. But it wasn't until his whole body turned black. There seems to be no pain. Just turning black. T5 looks ferocious. He couldn't figure out what was going on. The black color seems to soak into the skin. Can't even rub it off. Can't even wipe it clean. Thinking of this, T5 won't stop here anymore. He got into the woods as fast as he could. Yang Xiaojin saw the other party coming from. When he emerged from the rock shelter, he was stunned. What was that black thing just now? Ren Xiaosu was also surprised. Is it the other T5? He is black no matter what. Yang Xiaojin did not speak. I want to shoot with black bullets simply and neatly. But he suddenly found that the black bullet was gone. Strangeness. Is there only one round of this black bullet? Ren Xiaosu thought for a moment. He asked the palace in his mind. Number of black bombs. Once a day. Bounded by 0. Palace replied. Ren Xiaosu sighed. It's not easy for me here. There is even a time limit. Suddenly, Ren Xiaosu had a bad premonition. Immediately after the palace prompts. Pay 100 thanks in coins. Just a moment's work. Ren Xiaosu felt distressed. He currently has only a few hundred thank you coins in total. Now I hit 1/6. Yang Xiaojin learned about the black bomb one day. When there is only one shot. Still a little regretful. Oh well. I'll try another shot tomorrow. Ren Xiaosu said quickly. This black bullet is your killer. Brief. How can you show it to others easily? It's better to use it at critical moments. To be honest. Ren Xiaosu also wanted to save face in front of Yang Xiaojin. He was embarrassed to say that he couldn't afford it. A thank you coin issued on this day. So I wanted to find an excuse to persuade Yang Xiaojin not to use it first. As a result, Yang Xiaojin saw through the truth at a glance. Look how stingy you are. It should be what price you have to pay for using black bombs? Okay. I will never use it until the critical moment. Ren Xiaosu smiled happily. In fact, we are really in danger. There is no need to guard for me. Your safety is most important. At this time, Yang Xiaojin reminded to move quickly. We have to find a way to get rid of the other T5. On the way to transfer, Ren Xiaosu heard an explosion behind him. This should be the people from Tinder who have just arrived at their previous ambush location. Touched the guard trap set by Yang Xiaojin. He turned around to see what was happening behind him. But the moment he turned around, a black shadow suddenly jumped out from behind a rock 10 meters away on the right. T-5036 came here early. It wasn't until this moment that he suddenly got angry. I just want to take advantage of Ren Xiaosu's distracted moment and kill him with one strike. However, when he was in the air, he saw. The corners of Ren Xiaosu's mouth raised slightly. T-5036 is about to reverse its body shape. But the rotten leaves beneath him burst open. The shadow wearing a white mask collided with T-5036 in the air with the force of thunder. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Xiao Haizi, Ren Xiaosu said with a smile. T-5036 suddenly became angry. He endured the pain of being attacked and rolled to the ground. Then he looked at Ren Xiaosu fiercely. Who is Xiao Haizi? Ren Xiaosu is happy. Who has a dark face and who is the black guy? T-5036 smiled and said. Even when death is imminent, you can still laugh. I'll see how you laugh later. Ren Xiaosu glanced at the sky. Don't wait any longer. Let's start now. Otherwise, I won't be able to see you when it gets dark. T-5036 almost got angry and vomited blood when he heard this. But Ren Xiaosu said this very seriously. Looking at the T-57 opposite, it is extremely dark. At night, if the other party doesn't open his mouth, he may not be able to see where the other party is. This fight is too much of a loss. T5 comes with a sword. If you want to cross the shadow, kill Ren Xiaosu first. But the shadow follows you like a shadow. Don't give T5 this chance at all. I solved this white mask first. You better kill yourself before I kill him. Otherwise it will be difficult for you to even want to die by then. T-5036 sneered. After saying that, He let go and stood together with the shadow. Ren Xiaosu turned around and glanced at the previous sniper point. The combat troops there were ambushed by grenade traps. He had already turned around and rushed towards them. Just when he was thinking about how to deal with it, a shadow of a knife suddenly appeared on the tree crown diagonally above. But when the blade was about to hurt Ren Xiaosu, however, Ren Xiaosu lowered his head slightly to let the blade pass. The T5 that sneaked up on the tree canopy. When you want to tilt the blade again, Ren Xiaosu had already exerted force on his feet, exited the range of the blade blockade. It turns out that this time, in order to kill these two snipers, there are not two T5s dispatched by Tinder, but three, just because Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojing disrupted their plans from the start. So the commander behind the scenes, to solve this biggest hidden danger, the newly appeared T5 raises its long knife diagonally. But I saw the young man opposite raised his head. Both eyes are blood red. As soon as the city is opened, the little black man on the battlefield next to him, feeling suddenly stressed. Now he faces the shadow. There is also the blessing of urging the city. Just when Ren Xiaosu wanted to take advantage of 30 seconds, when counter-killing T5 while the urging city state is still there, he was surprised to hear the sound of the palace. When will the injustice be repaid? Ask the host to express a conciliatory attitude and improve relations with enemies. Ren Xiaosu began to think silently. How do you understand improving relations with enemies? Suddenly Ren Xiaosu opened his mouth and said, "Call Daddy." T5019 immediately said hello with a smile on his face. The voice just fell from the palace prompt. Mission accomplished. Reward a perfect level skill learning map. At the same time, hidden Yang Xiaojing emerged from a rotten leaf. He knelt down on one knee. The arm holding the black saw is as stable as a sculpture. With a muffled sound, T5019 was hit by a bullet in his waist. Bullets carrying kinetic energy cannot penetrate his body, but the body keeps spinning. His internal organs were smashed to pieces. But the vitality of the T5 sequence is so powerful. Even though he was so seriously injured, they still have the energy to struggle to get up. T5019 doesn't care about Xiao Haizi's life or death. Want to escape alone. However, let Xiaosu wander around and chase. I just want to run away now. Will it be a little late? T5019 is indifferent to everything behind him, but he suddenly found that he was on the path to escape. Opened a door to nothingness. Gate steam train. Di Shenwu Yi Railway Rail Crystal Iron Crossing Puzzle. He had no time to dodge. The steam train drove this T5. Got crushed under the railroad tracks. A whole 16 carriages passed him. Life can only be powerless to dissipate. The shadow on the other side comes to meet with a bloody knife. Ren Xiaosu smiled and jumped on the steam train. Rushed to pick up Miss Yang from the sniper point. Miss Yang grabbed the handle in the carriage. It feels like fun. Where to go now? Go pick up Roland and the big fool. Ren Xiaosu replied. I feel like Tinder's plan has been ruined this time. It's time to call it a day. At this time, Roland and others were resting. But suddenly I heard footsteps. I saw Ren Xiaosu walking over with a smile. Wang Yun asked, "Where have you been? Were you in danger?" Roland said with a cheerful smile. It's only dangerous when others encounter them. While talking, Ren Xiaosu has already begun to say to the palace, recreate Roland's extraordinary abilities. Palace responds in mind. Detected that Roland's extraordinary ability is a heroic spirit. Whether to copy, replica, Ren Xiaosu replied firmly. Suddenly, Ren Xiaosu felt an invisible force enveloped Roland. At the same time, there seemed to be something more in his own mind. This ability gives Ren Xiaosu a very strange feeling. It was as if a door to the underworld had opened to him. But there is no change in myself. Ren Xiaosu smiled at Roland and said, get up and clean up the mess. Enter the core of the holy mountain tomorrow. Let's see what tricks this fire company has in the end. Let them use it together. Wang Yun said weakly while lying on the stretcher. Can you wait for me for 2 days? I recovered in 2 days. The big fool laughed softly next to the stretcher. I just saw that you seem to be quite interested in black medicine. You come to the Northwest to participate in the Northwest construction of our 178 medicine competition. I'll discuss it with that person. Sell you some more. Wang Yun immediately shut up when she heard this. How could he betray Kong just for some black potion? Before they could arrive at the battlefield, the gunfire gradually stopped. When it stopped, Ren Xiaosu collapsed. That's it. Could it be that all the other teammates were killed? In this time when the night has just fallen, a strange and ethereal singing sound came from the woods ahead. Searching and searching for friends. Find a good friend. Salute and shake hands. You are my good friend. This song is getting closer and closer. Loud and high-pitched. It's like hundreds of people chanting in unison. Roland had goosebumps on the spot. It can't be a ghost thing created by Tinder Company, right? Why is it so scary? For this reason, Roland even summoned 12 of his own heroic spirits. The heavy machine gun is set up, and Dahu was chanting in his mouth. Yin and Yang are separated. Different paths between humans and ghosts. All evil will be dispersed. But when he saw the person at the front of the choir, he was stunned. Li Shintan. Li Shintan smiled brightly at Ren Xiaosu and said, "Surprise? I am traveling across mountains and ridges to meet women." The silly man next to him muttered, "But I read it all in the book. People will never remember those who traveled over mountains and ridges to see them. They will only remember the people they traveled across the mountains to meet." Li Shintan said with a smile, "It's not important." Ren Xiaosu was currently staring at the box behind the silly people, without blinking an eye. What was Li Shintan talking about originally? But when he discovered Ren Xiaosu's appearance, then he fell silent. A sigh. Ren Xiaosu turned his head and looked at Li Shintan seriously. "Is it him?" Li Shintan nodded. "What else does he want to say? But I don't know where to start." No one around them knew what these two were talking about. I saw Ren Xiaosu and Li Shintan's silly people leaving the crowd directly. Ren Xiaosu kept going up the mountain road. Li Shintan looked at Ren Xiaosu's back. Suddenly I felt that the other party was a little excited. There is also some loneliness. Ren Xiaosu turned around and looked at the silly people. "Can you put the box down behind you? I want to see him." The silly people put the box down obediently. The moment Ren Xiaosu was about to open the box, he suddenly hesitated again, as if afraid of something. "Can you two step aside for a moment?" Li Shintan, who always likes to confront others. At this moment, he was surprisingly cooperative. "We'll wait for you on the hillside." Until both of them left. Ren Xiaosu then slowly opened the box. The moment before seeing Chenwudi again, he felt that he was mentally prepared. I can already bear any sorrow from this incident. But the moment I saw Chenwudi, or a radical collapse, tears can't stop falling. Chenwudi may be the eternal regret in Ren Xiaosu's heart. When I saw the petrified Chenwudi again, Ren Xiaosu cried bitterly for the first time. The battle that day. He didn't even have time to say goodbye to Chenwudi. I didn't even have time to see Chenwudi for the last time. When he wakes up, his bones are all short. Invincible has also fallen into that barrier. After that, Ren Xiaosu didn't even have the courage to look at this apprentice. He always tells himself, "It's already hard for everyone alive. Why do you always bring out the memories of the deceased to embarrass yourself?" Everyone knows that Ren Xiaosu is very sad, but he doesn't want to admit it. Just like when he learned about Chenwudi's death, would rather use the pain of hearing loss and broken bones to cover up my emotions. He didn't want to say a word that he was so sad. Ren Xiaosu felt that he had survived like this since he was a child. But at this moment he admitted, no. When he saw Roland's ability, Ren Xiaosu swore that he was jealous of Roland from the bottom of his heart. It's possible to awaken such an ability. So he is desperate. Even if you waste 2 perfect maps, I also need to copy my skills. When he finds a glimmer of hope, Ren Xiaosu finally understood his desire. In fact, that memory has never been erased. It's like waking up from a midnight dream. Some people will still call him master. At this time, Ren Xiaosu's body was shining with golden light, just like Roland summoning the heroic spirit stone. Ren Xiaosu sat opposite Chenwudi and said seriously, "Actually, I am not a qualified master. I lied to you. If you feel like you're constantly being swallowed by darkness, then you yourself are that beam of light. When saying this, I don't believe it myself, but you are too naive, so you believe it. At that time, I was still smiling in my heart. I say your apprentice is really easy to deceive. But then I suddenly discovered. In fact, the person who should reflect on myself is myself. Chinwudi said, Master, should there really be good people in this world? Ren Xiaosu is right. You are that light. But just when Ren Xiaosu thought nothing would happen, Chinwudi has truly become the brightest light in the world. Engraved in the hearts of many people. Ren Xiaosu is like most people. Get used to it, there will never be any fairy tales in this world. Once you get used to it, the world is no longer equal. I'm also used to not being a good person. Then I looked back and realized. In fact, I missed those beautiful things. It's not that they really don't exist. Because chasing snow. So I met the mountain. Because of seeing light. Just be brave enough to dream. This is the cause and effect of the world. Ren Xiaosu said, maybe I wasn't a good master before, but I am willing to have a new beginning. Come back. The moonlight above the invincible sky is bright. Chinwudi's body seemed to be covered with a layer of silver gray, shining on his broken golden chain mail. That chain mail has turned into a stone sculpture, but you can still see his existence before becoming a stone sculpture. Ren Xiaosu looked at Chinwudi expectantly. I thought the other party would be like Roland's 12 heroic spirits, come out of the statue. But he was in a daze. But he heard someone whisper in his heart, Master, I'm sorry. Ren Xiaosu looked at Chinwudi in disbelief. He can't accept this fact. He worked hard to complete the task, just to bring Invincible back. But the result was a failure. He couldn't tell who was speaking in the voice deep inside his heart. Didn't know it was an illusion. Or is Chinwudi really fighting with him? Li Shintan, who came to Ren Xiaosu's side at some unknown time, said, Don't be too sad. Ren Xiaosu raised his head and looked at Li Shintan. Why failed? Li Shintan has never seen the young man in front of him in such a posture. The other party didn't even notice that he was walking next to him. Li Shintan said, Are you trying to use Roland's abilities to summon him? But Roland's ability is used to recall the dead. Have you ever thought? In fact, Chinwudi never died. Ren Xiaosu was shocked. He looked up at Li Shintan in surprise and didn't know what to say. But Li Shintan already knew about this matter. When he walked into the barrier and sat in front of Chinwudi, I don't know why, but I said a lot of things to Chinwudi. Finally, when he said, when he will protect his master for Chinwudi, there is clearly golden light flowing around Chinwudi's body. He was stunned at that time. The silly people also asked him what happened. He said it was okay. From that day on, the silly people began to carry huge boxes on their backs. Li Shintan always insists, no matter where you go, you must take Chinwudi with you, regardless of the ends of the earth. So even though Ren Xiaosu worked hard to reproduce Roland's abilities, but Roland's ability is completely useless to living people. Ren Xiaosu is in a difficult situation. So do you know how to revive him? Li Shintan's voice was low. It's because he doesn't want to wake up. Chinwudi lost all hope that day, like a rock popping out of a rock, after experiencing the human heart. Finally, in despair, he turned himself back into stone. I no longer believe that this world needs good people and heroes. Chinwudi no longer needs him. Li Shintan is lonely. If not me, that day will not lead to his life or death. So I always want to do something, but don't know where to start. So I took him with me across the mountains and rivers. Go and see the beauty in this world. Just let me continue to take him with me. I am the most evil person in the world. He is the best good man in the world. Good people die because of evil people. Now I want him to see it. In fact, the world still needs him. Because even the devil will be changed by him. If it weren't for Chinwudi, maybe Li Shintan has already become a real devil. There is no good or evil in his heart. So since Chinwudi doesn't want to wake up, then Li Shintan wanted Chinwudi to take a look. In fact, how important he is to this world. Even the worst devil in the world can be changed. Then there is nothing else that this beam of light cannot change. Ren Xiaosu, do you believe me? Li Shintan whispered. One day, I will make him willing to return to this world. Continue to be his monkey king. On that day, the devil will also complete his own redemption. This is his fate. Also mine. So you should also be that beam of light. He will be very happy. That night, Ren Xiaosu accompanied Chenwudi and sat on the mountain. He said many, many things. Tell me what you have experienced during this time. Finally, he said to Chenwudi, come back early. Master is lonely. When the first ray of sunlight hits the top of the mountain in the morning, Ren Xiaosu seriously wiped the dust off Chenwudi's body. He said to Li Shuntan, I believe what you say. Also waiting for that day. After saying that, he turned around and went down the mountain. Si Li Yuan carried the box again, flying beside Li Shintan. When going down the mountain, Yang Xiaojing walked towards Ren Xiaosu. He nodded his toes and hugged Ren Xiaosu gently in front of others. This is probably the first hug between Yang Xiaojing and Ren Xiaosu. Don't be sad. I'm here. Ren Xiaosu smiled. No matter what the outcome of last night, but at least it's better than before. Because he once thought Chenwudi was dead. But now I found out. It turns out that Chenwudi is not dead at all. As long as he's not dead, there is still everything possible. Zhou Yinxue, who was sitting next to the campfire, said obediently, Master and Madam, you can have breakfast now. Ren Xiaosu looked at Zhou Yinxue in surprise. Then look at Yang Xiaojing. He couldn't understand the whole night. How did it become like this? It turned out that when Ren Xiaosu was talking to Chenwudi on the mountain, Yang Xiaojing found Zhou Yinxue. Come here with me. After Yang Xiaojing finished speaking, he walked outside. Zhou Yinxue curled her lips. If you let me go, I will go. But even though he muttered like this, he still opened his legs and followed me honestly. Yang Xiaojing kept walking forward without saying a word. On the contrary, Zhou Yinxue couldn't bear it any longer. I'm not afraid of you. As soon as this sentence comes out, Yang Xiaojing finally turned around and stood still. Zhou Yinxue regretted it and wanted to slap herself. Because this sentence itself is a kind of cowardice. Zhou Yinxue cursed in her heart that she had no future. Obviously so powerful. Why are you afraid that the other party is a little girl who is a liar? The other party is several years younger than me. Yang Xiaojing looked Zhou Yinxue up and down. I heard that you want to treat your mother's illness. Zhou Yinxue almost cried. Finished. I must know that she lied again. But Zhou Yinxue must not give in. I walk around the world. What's wrong with telling lies to protect yourself? Have you never told a lie? Said. Yang Xiaojing nodded. It's not like this is something she's ashamed to admit. At first she said she would give the dagger to Ren Xiaosu. As a result, I went back on my own. I didn't see her feeling the least bit embarrassed. Yang Xiaojing asks again. How long have you been her maid? Half a year. Zhou Yinxue felt something was wrong at this time. Why is he always outdone by Yang Xiaojing in terms of momentum? This won't work. You have to fight back. When Yang Xiaojing wants to oppress her again, she fights back. But then Yang Xiaojing suddenly asked, does she usually eat on time? Zhou Yinxue suddenly became speechless. Why are you asking this suddenly? You don't play by the rules. The eldest maid thought for a while and replied, eating is still on time. Master lives a very regular life. I usually spend most of my time reading books. As soon as I said Zhou Yinxue, I wanted to slap myself again. Why do you have to answer the question honestly? But I heard Yang Xiaojing continue to ask, did she encounter any danger? Zhou Yinxue quickly replied, the time at Wall 74 was quite dangerous. I was almost injured by the experimental subject, and that time in Los Angeles. Only then did Zhou Yinxue remember. Yang Xiaojing was also there that time in Luo City, and the master just left her and ran away. Zhou Yinxue was so angry when she thought of this. So he said very abruptly, my husband and I stayed in the same room. Yang Xiaojing vomited. Zhou Yinxue felt like she had punched hard, but it was like hitting the air. She asked incredulously, just vomit. Aren't you curious about what happened? Yang Xiaojing gave her a strange look. What can happen to you? She doesn't like you. Zhou Yinxue almost cried. Why are you so straightforward? However, Yang Xiaojing is the person who knows Ren Xiaosu best. Ren Xiaosu's cowardice at the critical moment. Only if you can play a little trick, you will be a ghost, right? Zhou Yinxue is a little unwilling. I was planning to say something more. Yang Xiaojing interrupted directly. Needless to say, I only believe what she told me personally. At this moment, Zhou Yinxue felt extremely depressed. I thought to myself, why do I have to come to the Holy Mountain? Go to the Northwest early to do some practical things. Wouldn't it be good to make preparations for the master's future drama of seizing the throne? I have to come here and crush people into a complete mess. I should have known this would be the result. She should have run away just now. Yang Xiaojing said, I'm a little hungry now. Go and prepare something to eat for me. It's best to be able to cook porridge. Ren Xiaosu can eat it even if she comes down from the mountain tomorrow morning. Zhou Yinxue agreed with a low eyebrow. Yang Xiaojing said casually, first check your cooking skills. If done well, wait until the Holy Mountain thing is over. Come with us to the Northwest. Zhou Yinxue immediately started laughing without opening her eyes. Okay, look at it. My craftsmanship is superb. After saying that, Zhou Yinxue went to work. I scolded myself while I was busy working. Bastard. Tell me what you are picturing. But Zhou Yinxue secretly glanced at Yang Xiaojing. Frustrated again. This girl is not very old either. Why is the aura so strong? Ren Xiaosu versus the replica version of Chen Wudi almost fell into a disadvantage. Chen Wudi narrowly won at the critical moment. Assist Ren Xiaosu to kill the replica Chen Wudi. The trip to the Holy Mountain is finally coming to an end. In order to end the farce of Tinder as soon as possible, Ren Xiaosu. He led everyone to Huazhong's laboratory overnight. There's the biggest building there, standing like a DNA double helix. But when they came under the building, everyone was stunned for a moment. I saw 11 corpses lying neatly under the building. A young man sat cross-legged next to the body, wearing a golden hoop, eyes closed, as if already in samadhi. Ren Xiaosu looked at the other party seriously. I was a little speechless for a moment. Li Shintan stood aside. He and Ren Xiaosu actually understood from the beginning. Here, they will definitely encounter another replica. Chen Wudi didn't open his eyes. Your trip ends here. It's time for you to rest. His voice is calm, like an ancient well without any fluctuations, or more like gods in the sky, abandoned mortal emotions from birth. As he spoke, Chen Wudi opened his eyes and looked at Li Shintan. Then he scanned everyone present one by one. Ren Xiaosu stared at the other party closely, but Chen Wudi's eyes were on him. No extra stops. At this moment, Ren Xiaosu finally sighed in his heart. This is not Chen Wudi. Not even Chen Wudi's memory. It's just that he has Chen Wudi's genes. But Ren Xiaosu can't figure out one thing. Chen Wudi is obviously suffering from paranoia. Only then do you think you are the reincarnation of the great sage Qitian, thus opening up one's own abilities. The pirated Chen Wudi opposite is obviously a normal person. Why do you have the same ability as Chen Wudi? At this time Vanilla suddenly asked, Are you T6 from Tinder Company? Chen Wudi looked at Vanilla without emotion. There is no such level as T6 in Tinder. At my level, levels are no longer needed to define. I am Chen Wudi. Is unique. However, Li Shintan suddenly interrupted. Your name is also Chen Wudi. This won't work. Duplicate name. But I heard Chen Wudi in front of me say, duplicate name. You mean that to save others? Is he a fool who let himself fall as a result? He can obviously become a real god, but fell because of mortals. He is indeed a fool. Hereafter, Chen Wudi is just me. You'd better change your name. This sentence suddenly comes to mind. Wang Yun and others looked at the speaker Ren Xiaosu with disgust. The replica Chen Wudi looked at Ren Xiaosu and said, Can I ask you to repeat what you just said? Ren Xiaosu repeated, You'd better change your name. It doesn't matter if it's called Chen Luer or Chen Mingho, but we can't call him Chen Wudi. The replica for Chen Wudi was not used. He just looked at Ren Xiaosu without any emotion. I see. Are you the master of that fool? But why can't I be called Chen Wudi? Because you don't deserve it. The reason why Chen Wudi is Chen Wudi. Because he is that light. Because of that beam of light. Only then will Chen Wudi become the monkey king in this world. But the Tinder company copied the genetic sample. but did not replicate the other party's spiritual will. This is unacceptable to Ren Xiaosu, because in his heart Chen Wudi is unique. Together with the Monkey King dreamed up by Chen Wudi, it should also exist because of light. Since there is no light in my heart, then you don't deserve all this. You can also change your name on your own initiative. If you still don't want to, then let me help you change it. Replica of Chen Wudi. It seems I don't want to waste any more time, he said lightly. What you cling to, it's just a mortal's troubles. Get on the horse together. The dead have no worries. But after the replica body Chen Wudi finished speaking, but found that Li Shantan and Ren Xiaosu didn't even move. Chen Wudi asked, "How? Afraid?" Li Shantan shook his head. "You think wrong. I didn't take action not because I was afraid. Ever since I became mentally ill, I have never experienced the emotion of fear. You keep calling that fool that fool. I also came out of a mental hospital. It always sounds like you're scolding me. So I really want to hit you." And that Chen Wudi and I, they all stayed in a mental hospital in the Southwest for several years. Rounding it all off, he can be considered a fellow patient. You said that to him. I'm very unhappy. At this time, Li Shintan glanced at his replica body and continued. But I don't want to fight with you today, because you can only die in the hands of one person today. He will personally end your fate. At this time, the shadow slowly walked out from behind a building, holding the black handle out of thin air. Ren Xiaosu is just the same. Today, he will guard a beam of light for Chen Wudi. Hold the knife hilt tightly. The white mask comes step by step. Every step is oppressive. A white mask stands on top behind Ren Xiaosu. Two black knives. Two people of similar stature. Ren Xiaosu's murderous intention is in full swing. He suddenly asked the big liar next to him, "What day is today?" Just take a look at the big liar, showing his big yellow teeth and smiling. The 9th day of the first lunar month. Once laid to rest. Save one by one. A clean portal. One kill. Ren Xiaosu nodded. By chance. At this time, Ren Xiaosu showed all this. A huge impact on others. Before that, Wang Yun thought the white mask was just Ren Xiaosu's friend and comrade. Cheng Yu simply thought that Ren Xiaosu is just the assistant of the white mask. But now all these speculations have been overturned. When Ren Xiaosu and the white mask held the black knife handle from nothingness at the same time, Wang Yun and others understood in just a moment. It turns out that the famous white mask, it's just the limitation of Ren Xiaosu's abilities. The white mask is standing diagonally behind Ren Xiaosu. Exactly the same posture for holding the knife. That white mask is like Ren Xiaosu's shadow. But this shadow can kill people. Chen Luer calmly looked at Ren Xiaosu and the white mask. You too. Not enough. But Ren Xiaosu ignored him. Instead, he urged others to quickly find 6 yuan. Li Shuntan said with his distant eyebrows. Then let's go in first. You kill him quickly. Just after everyone else entered the building, Ren Xiaosu's momentum suddenly became even louder. Chen Luer looked at the cautious Ren Xiaosu. I've always been curious. Why do you all seem to care so much about that fool? But Ren Xiaosu has no intention of answering his question now. The white mask slowly walked from behind him to the front. Ren Xiaosu and Ren Xiaosu held the handles of their black knives with both hands at the same time. Kill the traitor. Ren Xiaosu and white mask. Like two machines that are highly coordinated, they attack each other. Looking at Chen Luer in front of him, Ren Xiaosu felt like a fire was burning in his heart. Chen Luer raised the golden cudgel in front of him. I stopped him without paying attention. Ren Xiaosu and the knife in the white mask. It's just that he thought he could easily block the blow. What's surprising is, white mask and Ren Xiaosu's knife. The moment they fall on the golden cudgel at the same time, that power that Pimo can't stop. Chen Luer was knocked back by the chop. Chen Luer stood firm and looked at the golden cudgel in his hand. The two obvious knife marks on the golden cudgel are so abrupt. Before that, Tinder companies use many methods. I want to test the strength of this golden cudgel, but they tried every method. The golden cudgel cannot be damaged either. But now someone has stabbed the golden cudgel. A half-centimeter mark was made. A bit interesting, Chen Luer said. Little did he know that Ren Xiaosu was also a little surprised. You know, this is the first time Black Knife has failed. In the past, even if I faced the body of my substitute, black knives are like tofu. But now I can't successfully cut off the golden cudgel. But Ren Xiaosu laughed instead. My apprentice is really great. Chen Luer is more powerful. Ren Xiaosu feels even more proud of Chen Wudi. Because everything Chen Luer has, they were all given by Chen Wudi. Chen Luer is awesome. Then Chen Wudi will only be stronger. This is the strength that a great sage should have. Chen Luer couldn't understand what Ren Xiaosu was laughing about. He looked at the notches on the golden cudgel and said, "But I also discovered your secret. This white mask is much stronger than you. But you are all inferior to me. But this is Ren Xiaosu. No shame at all being exposed. You have no strength. But they don't understand why humans are powerful. Not because of power." Chen Luer said doubtfully. "What's the reason for that?" "The courage to fight and the unyielding will. You don't have any of these. All you have is a broken soul." Zhang Jingming said, "Life should be like a candle, from start to finish, always bright." Li Yingyu said, "Only faith and the sun and moon remain unchanged forever." Zhang Su said, "Record the truth. Although he died for a long time, he never came back. What supports mankind to this day? It's definitely not some extraordinary ability, but those pioneers in history. The unyielding will of deep gray meaning." Ren Xiaosu and Lao Su raised their swords and struck at them again. Every sword is a fight for invincibility. Every cut is to prove. In the face of scientific ethics, humanity itself is the carrier of history. The replica is not. Maybe everything in this world can be copied, but not heroes. His figure with the shadow, always centered around Chen Luer as the prototype. Like two swimming dragons fighting in formation, Chen Luer watched calmly. Ren Xiaosu and White Mask used the golden hoop every time, blocked their attack. Is that all? But Chen Luer suddenly saw. The corners of Ren Xiaosu's mouth curled up slightly. He looked towards the golden cudgel. Only then did I realize. No matter what angle the White Mask attacks from, they were all forcing him, Chen Luer, to adjust his posture. In order to let Xiaosu make every move, they all have a chance to hit the same position. Watching. The golden cudgel is about to be cut off. After Chen Luer discovered Ren Xiaosu's intentions, want to quickly adjust the position of the golden cudgel? It's too late. The black knife passed in front of him. The blade will meet the golden cudgel again. It's like cutting into the dark abyss with a knife. Let the light shine in through the gaps. Invincible? Have you seen it? If you can still see. Let's see how Master protects this light. You also wear gold hoops. You also wear a golden hoop. Have you been to the West? You don't. You are just a thief who stole my apprentice's genes. The black knife is in Ren Xiaosu's hand. Like a scalpel. It landed on the crack of the golden cudgel again with great precision. The golden hoop is broken. Chen Luer looked at the two broken sticks in his hands and remained silent. Ren Xiaosu looked at him coldly and said, "I need to correct you again. He is not a fool. You are not qualified to discuss him with me." Chen Luer retorted, "He is just a fool who is not recognized by everyone. People he helped. Are you grateful to him?" Ren Xiaosu said coldly, "If a good person cannot be recognized by others, that's something wrong with the world." He is not wrong. Looking at this devastated and dilapidated world and era, the anger in Ren Xiaosu's heart burned even more fiercely. If this world and era cannot tolerate good people, can't tolerate Chen Wudi, then this world and this era should die too. It's too early to say this now. Chen Luer carelessly threw the two broken sticks to the ground. Make a clanging sound. I've always felt that this thing is a bit cumbersome. Okay now. I also have to thank you for helping me cut it off. Let me not be bound by it. To express gratitude, I'll send you to meet that fool. Speaking of which, the golden chain armor on Chen Luer appeared out of thin air. The phoenix-winged Bauhinia coffin is also majestic. Does your disciple have such a show? Chen Luer asked with a smile. Ren Xiaosu shook his head. You are still far behind compared to him. That day Chen Wudi saved his master. Incarnate as the great sage Qitian and fight against the holy Buddha. The phoenix-winged redbud coffin above the head dwarfs from nothingness. Two skyward wings point directly to the sky and connect with the clouds. The golden chainmail also dwarfed from nothingness. The golden light is like the scorching sun competing with the sky. Invincible says the sky is sunny. Even if the world is poor, it will collapse. How can all this be a fake? Chun Luer sneered. Word of mouth quickly. After saying that, he pulled off a small handful of hair from the back of his head. Blow in the wind. Where is Monkey-Son? I saw hundreds of hairs swaying in the wind. Just the blink of an eye. They turned into brave monkeys wearing armor. Sharpen your mouth and tease your teeth. Chun Luer laughed. Does your apprentice have such means? Can happen unexpectedly. Those hundreds of monkeys appeared in the wind and fell to the ground. However, he did not follow Chun Luer's wishes and attack Ren Xiaosu. Instead, he suddenly knelt down towards the building behind Chun Luer. Dingly piety. Like a believer. With a sad face. Someone seems to be sighing in the building. That sigh is in everyone's heart. Monkey grandson kneels down and worships again and again. Everyone burst into tears. Then it turns into light and shadow with the wind. Chun Luer suddenly turned around. Why do my monkey grandsons kneel in directions other than myself? What's there? Ren Xiaosu burst into laughter. Laughing and almost crying. Only he knows. There. It's the direction where Chen Wudi is. The silly people were carrying Chen Wudi in that building. Invincible? Are you still here? Invincible? Have you seen Master? This moment. Li Shuntan has just entered the first floor of the building. Suddenly, the cracks in the box behind the Li people beside him burst into colorful light. Before Li Shuntan could get excited, the light actually dimmed again. The hope in Ren Xiaosu's heart dimmed for a moment as the light. But it's just a moment. Master, kill this sixer monkey for you. Ren Xiaosu has no regrets in her heart. Even if invincibility only shines for this moment, it's enough to make him feel at ease. At least Li Shuntan didn't lie to him. Invincible really never dies. Chun Luer was already uneasy at the moment. Ren Xiaosu laughs. Laughing tiredly and proudly. Did you see it? That is the real amnesty. And you are just a lost monkey. What did I just say? You compare with him. Far from it. Today is a good day. Once laid to rest. One kill. While speaking, Ren Xiaosu struck Chun Luer's golden chainmail with a knife. He split the golden chain armor into cracks all the time, and left deep bloodlines on Chun Luer's chest. If Chun Luer hadn't lost his mind, I'm afraid Ren Xiaosu will have to fight hard for a long time if he wants to kill the other party. But Chun Wudi narrowly defeated this moment. Chun Luer also panicked. Although Chun Luer kept saying that he was just a fool, but he knew deep down in his heart, he is just a replica of that person. Ren Xiaosu felt that what this kind of replica was most afraid of was not fighting, but facing the traitor in the original body who committed suicide and paid bribes. Chun Luer lives up to his calmness. He turned around and said to Ren Xiaosu in an argument, "So what if he's not dead yet? Wait until I kill you. Go kill him again. Then you two, master and disciple, can meet together on Huangquan Road." Not finished yet. This Chun Luer directly made a sneak attack. As soon as he was short, he raised his leg and kicked the shadow away, and used the reaction force of this leg to go straight to Ren Xiaosu. But at this time, Ren Xiaosu found an ear pick from nowhere. Picked up the ears. Chun Luer no longer thinks about it. Punched straight to Ren Xiaosu's face. This fist is whirring. But when his fist reached 30 centimeters in front of Ren Xiaosu, I was completely resisted by an invisible force. Ren Xiaosu looked up to the sky and laughed. I even dug out my ears to give you a chance. But you are useless. Ren Xiaosu is like deliberately humiliating Chun Luer. Just stood there and picked my ears. Then let the monster a foot away from you spread its teeth and claws. No matter how much the demon punches or kicks, it will be of no avail. Luer, do you understand? Ren Xiaosu restrained her smile and said seriously, what you call a god is nothing more than this. Let me ask at the end, do you know the gap between you and him? Chun Luer has gone crazy, even a little desperate inside. He has no idea what Ren Xiaosu's ability is. No matter how hard he tried, they can't even break through that transparent barrier. At this moment, Wang Yun, who was upstairs, looked down through the window of the building. As a result, I saw Ren Xiaosu picking his ears in front of Chen Luer. But Chen Luer was helpless. This scene shocked Wang Yun and left her speechless. The image of Ren Xiaosu in his mind suddenly became extremely unpredictable. He can't understand. Didn't it say that there were only 2 demigods in the age of Rise of the Gods? Why did I miss the real god? At this time, Chen Luer had stopped attacking. He asked breathlessly, "Who are you? Why so powerful?" Ren Xiaosu smiled and said nothing. "It's not that I'm strong. It's you who are too weak. Not even 1/10,000th as good as my apprentice. But Chen Luer is not a fool either. Why are you still picking out your ears? I see. This is your ability to pick out your ears, right? But you can't hurt the enemy." Ren Xiaosu stopped talking. When Chen Luer saw his reaction, immediately he smiled even more happily. "I see. You are making a fool of yourself." Chen Luer looked up to the sky and laughed. I was smiling and accidentally saw Xiaosu, the person opposite me. He stopped in the air and pulled out a black sniper rifle. After the roar of a sniper rifle, Chen Luer slowly lowered his head and looked at his chest. The golden chainmail he was wearing was before. Then Ren Xiaosu opened the gap. And now that gap has been shot out with a huge bloody belly by a sniper rifle. At this moment, Chen Luer suddenly realized. The opponent cuts off the golden hoop first time and again. Broken the chainmail again. Just for this moment of shooting. Bullets are no longer blocked by anything else. Ren Xiaosu, just to be on the safe side. He even used 100 black bullets from Crabwall. Just want one hit to kill. He knows very well that in a long battle, it's still unclear who will win. Because Chen Wudi is too strong. Even his clone is so strong. But when Ren Xiaosu was still in a hurry, he used his young body to fight to the death of the ruthless people in the battle. Killing is never about brute force, but make use of everything available. Pick out the ears and add a black saw. When facing an enemy in close combat, just invincible. Chen Luer fell to the ground in embarrassment and coughed up a mouthful of blood. Ren Xiaosu looked at Dalong silently. Invincible? Have you seen it? Master will help you guard this time. You will find out the day you come back. That dawn is still there. His wisdom is clearly comparable to that of gods. But he is willing to become someone else's scapegoat. Just because he is a replica created by the Fire Company. And he knows it in his heart. I can never compare to the wisdom of Qingjin himself. It turned out that just after the battle between Ren Xiaosu and Chen Luer ended, Li Shuntan and others found the secret base of Huazhong. There are transparent nutrient solution warehouses placed in this hall. It's full of clones sleeping with their eyes closed. Jin Zhuang, who was still pregnant, suddenly fell into surprise. Because these nutrition warehouses are actually full of replicas of extraordinary beings. Suddenly, a replica of an extraordinary person in a nutrition warehouse. He actually opened his eyes. Then there was the sound of breaking glass in the hall. The people in the nutrition warehouse. One by one, they came out of it. Their limbs are stiff and expressionless. Looks extremely eerie. Roland retreated and said to Zhou Qi, "The ground is full of water. It's like you're hosting a home stadium. Kill them quickly." Zhou Qi rolled his eyes beside him. Where are these dozens of people? If they are all extraordinary, 10 of me are not enough for them to fight. Roland suddenly became anxious. Then you should think of a way. But just when they were panicking. However, Li Shuntan directly hypnotized all the replicas of the extraordinary beings. And those replicas, actually, they all returned to the nutrition warehouse. Roland was dumbfounded. He quickly said to Li Shuntan, "Since you can control them, just let them help us explore the way." Li Shuntan shook his head. "You are too nervous too. None of these people have extraordinary abilities. I don't know what you are afraid of." Roland was stunned for a moment. No ability? So how did the Tinder company start? Chen Luer and Li Shuntan's ability to recreate the body. Li Shuntan heard Roland's doubts. Just smiled. There's no point in wondering about this now. It's better to keep going down. I think the answer may be waiting for us ahead. As he spoke, Li Shintan took the lead and walked forward. But just when they came to the end, there were two alloy doors on the ground in front of me suddenly opened. A downward staircase is revealed. Roland and the others looked at each other. The door suddenly opened at this time. It always feels like someone is waiting for them to jump into the pit. Li Shintan walked down without paying attention. Nothing to be afraid of. If fire really still has the power to kill us, I'm afraid it has been released a long time ago. Even though Roland and the others were strong, they could only bite the bullet and follow them. As a result, the moment the big liar stepped onto the stairs, the alloy door on the ground closed again. Everyone else is locked out. Roland suddenly panicked. This is a fight behind closed doors. Li Shintan sighed. How long has it been since you still have the intention to scold yourself? Just scold yourself. Don't take us with you, okay? Roland scratched his head in embarrassment. But why did you lock us in alone? Someone obviously did it deliberately. As a result, as soon as these words were spoken, I heard someone say at the end of the stairs, because of what I want to say. Only you can listen. Li Shintan is interested. I just like this feeling of being treated special. At this time Yang Xiaojing suddenly discovered. Roland Zhou was stunned next to him. The reason why they were stunned. It's because the voice at the end of the stairs is too familiar. Roland walked forward silently. You are the replica of my brother. The replica of Qingjin in front of him smiled and nodded. Roland's expression was a little anxious. Where did the genetic sample come from? The day he climbed the mountain and became the master of the celebration. I once walked a long mountain road barefoot. The blood is dyed red. It's not difficult to get his genetic sample. Introduce yourself. My name is Qingsheng. Cautious Shen. What's happening now? Completely exceeded everyone's expectations. Who are the people they thought would be cloned by Tinder? But I have never thought of Qingjin. Because Qingjin is not an extraordinary person. Others may still have doubts about this. But Roland is very determined. His brother is really not a supernatural being. Qingsheng looked at Roland and seemed to guess his thoughts. In the genetic samples obtained by Tinder Company, Qingjin is indeed the only ordinary person. Tinder Company never doubted that he was an extraordinary person. From the beginning of reproduction, they just want to create a leader for Tinder Corporation. Tinder Company has dealt with many people, but only when facing Qingjin. There will be a feeling of powerlessness. Roland narrowed his eyes. So what do you want to tell us? Ren Xiaosu can kill Qin Luer for Qin Wudi. Then Roland can also go on a killing spree for Qingjin. Eliminate hidden dangers. But then Qingsheng suddenly laughed. Don't be anxious first. Tinder Company is trying to make me closer to Qingjin infinitely. So I collected all relevant information about him for me to learn from. I hope I can become the same person as Qingjin one day. But after all, some people within Tinder Company had disagreements about this. Someone is unwilling to hand over power to a replica like me. So I am under house arrest here by this group of people. Roland frowned and was a little confused. What do you want to say? Qingsheng said seriously, take me to Qingjin. Because Qingjin and I both know. What will Qingjin face in the future? His plan needs me. In the process of studying Qingjin, I can always discover the fact that I am just a replica. I want to surpass Qingjin, but I can't do it. Slowly I began to admire him. Sometimes I even feel, maybe it can help him complete his plan. Maybe it's the strangeness of my birth. Roland looked cautious. How do I know if this is part of your plan? As a result, I just finished speaking. Qingsheng took out a fruit knife and made a cut on the back of his hand. This is my mark. That way you don't get us confused. And you all saw it too. The replica is actually incomparable to the original body. As long as he knows I exist, then I can't have any plans. At this moment Roland somewhat agreed. The replica body celebration arrived on Qingjin's carpet. I want to play with his younger brother Qingjin. It's all nonsense. It's just that Qingjin's personality charm is too great. He can even conquer his own replica. Roland finally made up his mind. I will take you back to Qingjin. But your life or death is decided by my brother. Replica of the saint's smiling way. He won't kill me. He will take advantage of everything, all firmly in hand. In fact, Roland was quite unhappy with this replica. The other person looks just like his brother. Just like Ren Xiaosu is tired of Qinluer. Makes no sense. I just feel like this replica. What did you steal from Qingzhen? It's hard to feel good about it. At this time, Li Shintan suddenly asked, "Where is experimental subject number 001? In the end, Qingsheng just shook his head. The Tinder company never caught it. Experimental subject number 001. But someone is deliberately misleading everyone. Anjing Temple released false news saying, experimental subject number 001 was captured. Because there is only this. The secret of longevity of experimental subject number 001. In order to arouse the interest of the senior management of the consortium. Suddenly and underestimated. So what you mean is, this is not a Tinder trap. It's Anjingji's bait. Replica body celebrates the nod. Ankyoji takes the extraordinary person of the foundation. Attracted here. It's nothing more than wanting to serve the Wang family. Future plans to eliminate hidden dangers. Li Shintan was speechless for a long time. Ren Xiaosu asked them to find him. Experimental subject number 001. As a result, experimental subject number 001. Just a bait. It doesn't exist at all. Then tell Ren Xiaosu the news yourself. Will Ren Xiaosu be very disappointed? Li Shintan looks at the replica body to celebrate the saints. I have another question. Since Tinder company owns the means to unlock extraordinary abilities, why is it not popular? Qingsheng explained that because they only had 3 chances. These 3 opportunities are extremely precious, so they can only choose the most powerful extraordinary person before they wanted to go to the northwest, searching for the genetic sample of the barrier destroyer. In the end, that person seemed to have disappeared from the world. No trace found at all. Li Shintan nodded. They are quite discerning. At this time, Yang Xiaojing suddenly asked Qingsheng, what is the method? Preserved before 3D transplantation. Experimental subject number 001 blood. Qingsheng said seriously. They call it the blood of the gods. Unable to reproduce. But it can be used to create false gods. Li Shintan was suddenly stunned for a moment. Are there really gods in the world? You said that was the blood of experimental subject number 001? Things left behind before being able to be planted. How are they preserved? Qingsheng explained that it should be placed in a closed container. No other preservation measures are required. He can preserve his own activity. Li Shintan shook his head. Obviously don't believe it. Qingsheng thought about it and decided to start from the beginning. This experimental subject number 001. It was originally sent to treat cancer. Live seed companies have no choice but to use drugs that have not yet been clinically tested. TSX-01. As a result, something strange happened. After a week, the patient not only recovered, and he also became a stronger new human being. Qingsheng remembered that he had read a short written record. That's experimental subject number 001. A period of clinical manifestations after taking the drug. The text says that number 001's eyes became like a star. It can be instantaneous, changing between human pupils and animal pupils. And he started seeing things far away. You can hear whatever you want. Ability to change other people's thinking. Even almost disappeared. To exist as a certain will of this world. But it seems to be number 001. And then fell into a coma. Such a new human being. In addition to using gods to summarize. How else to explain it? Suddenly Roland asked a question. Since this TSX-001 drug works, why were the other experimental subjects not cured? Instead he became a monster. Qingsheng said seriously. This is the uniqueness of experimental subject number 001. Precisely because only it can truly complete transformation. That's why it's called a god. Why Tinder company believes so. Your own genetic technology can change human beings. That's because they actually created gods with their own hands. Roland curled his lips. Until now, even experimental subject number 001. Even if this person stands next to you, you may not be able to recognize it either. Let's go. Replica Qingsheng looks at everyone. There's chaos outside. It's a good chance for us to leave. Talking about Qingsheng, I found a set of clothes. Wrap yourself up tightly. As if he was afraid that others would see him. Roland curled his lips. It's wrapped up pretty tightly. Qingsheng smiled. There are too many people who want to kill your brother. I look the same as him. Naturally, be careful. Roland was not angry. Why do you sound so awkward when you say this? Qingsheng smiled and opened the door and stepped up the stairs. Don't worry. From now on no one can kill them. At this time Wang Yun ran towards a building. He saw that there was a special distribution box outside the building. That means that it is likely to be stored here. Tinder electronics and servers. But before he gets close. But I saw a puff of black smoke suddenly coming from the building. Black smoke flies enchantingly into the distance in the air. But as soon as it flew 5 or 6 meters, I couldn't move it anymore. Wang Yun sneered. Wang Wenyin, aren't you coming down yet? I finally caught you this time. During the battle in Luo City, Wang Wenyin killed the Kong family and Zhou family's troops. Now the other party appears here. It must be for extremely important information. Others may not be able to cure this Wang Wenyin. But his Wang Yun's ability, born to be Wang Wenyin's nemesis. Wang Wenyin's ability is to turn into a ball of black smoke. Access anywhere without any hindrance. Wang Yun's ability is to control the air. I saw black smoke changing shapes in the air. But he still couldn't break free from the prison Wang Yun had placed on him. The next moment, Wang Wenyin fell to the ground and revealed his true form. A hard drive also fell out of Wang Wenyin's pocket. Wang Yun sneered. Wang Wenyin, I'm afraid you didn't expect that you would be where you are today, right? Those who kill me, Kong, must pay with their lives. As he said that, he picked up the hard drive on the ground and was about to kill someone. But at this moment, more than a dozen small paper cranes fell from the sky. Wang Yun's pupils suddenly shrank. The body quickly retreats. Anjing's 4-limb master light system. He, Wang Yun, is not enough for the other party to handle. But those paper cranes didn't attack him. Instead, he turned around and flew away. Wang Yun turned around and chopped again. I don't know when Wang Wenyin disappeared. The boy clearly killed 2 demigod women. As a result, he was submissive in front of a woman. Just because she is Yang Anjing, the aunt of her girlfriend Yang Xiaojin. It turns out that after Ren Xiaosu killed Chen Luer, a small paper crane floated in front of her. She wanted to catch it, but suddenly I remembered that the 1,000 paper cranes were Aunt Yang Xiaojin's extraordinary ability. So she followed Qianjihe to a woman. Ren Xiaosu was stunned the moment he saw her. It turns out that I have met Yang Xiaojin's aunt a long time ago. After catching the 1,000 paper cranes outside wall 61, the other party suddenly appeared in emergency room number 61. Thinking about it, she suddenly felt guilty. Yang Anjing stood in the shadow of the building and looked at Ren Xiaosu. It was you who took away the paper crane in emergency room number 61. Where's my paper crane? Ren Xiaosu scratched his head in embarrassment and pretended to be stupid. Yang Anjing said bluntly, You know who I am. If you don't know, maybe he's ready to fight now. After all, you are now considered to be in the extraordinary world. One of the most famous people. Ren Xiaosu quickly waved her hands and became modest. Then she changed the topic. You should know that I don't like you. I arranged for Xiaojing to go to Tsinghua University, and then deliberately concealed your news from her. Actually, you don't have to pretend to respect me. I know you will definitely be dissatisfied. Ren Xiaosu slowly stopped smiling. I do think you're doing something wrong. How she chooses that is her business. Even if you are her aunt, you can't interfere. Yang Anjing smiled and applauded. This is the momentum a barrier destroyer should have. Ren Xiaosu muttered in his heart. Why was he called the barrier destroyer? She thought for a while and said, Aunt, what do you want from me? Yang Anjing laughed. You are so shameless that you just call me aunt. It makes me think you are a little bit cute. After the trip to the Holy Mountain, Wall 61, you two can do 3 things for me. I will no longer stand between you and Xiaojing. No threat whatsoever. It doesn't matter if you don't come. After speaking, Yang Anjing simply turned around and left. Ren Xiaosu stood there and frowned. I don't know what young Anjing's plan is. To go or not to go. Ren Xiaosu felt that this matter should be discussed with young Xiaojing. At the same time, Li Xintan also came out to meet Ren Xiaosu, and Fu Qidi Qingshan took everyone on a small road. Walk quickly outside the holy mountain. Ren Xiaosu was a little anxious when he didn't see Yin Luyuan. Where is experimental subject number 001? As a result, Ren Xiaosu only found out after Luolan explained. The trip to the Holy Mountain is just a show jointly performed by Anjing Temple and Huazhong. This made Ren Xiaosu a little confused for a moment. I wasted so long, come in at risk, but found out it was just an own mistake. Just a moment. Ren Xiaosu felt the urge to destroy this holy mountain. Suddenly, he looked at Yang Xiaojing. Tell me about your encounter with Yang Anjing. Do you think we should go? Yang Xiaojing thought for a while. It's up to you to decide whether to go or not. You don't have to make decisions against your will just because of my presence. No one can hold me against my will. Because I won't do it because of other people's attitude towards you. Change my attitude towards you. Ren Xiaosu is a little timid. Yang Xiaojing became more and more considerate of him. The less he wants Yang Xiaojing to be in trouble. On the northern grassland, Yin Luyuan sat in the royal tent. During this time, he has conquered many grassland tribes. Do you want to truly become the king of the grassland? We must go south to attack Grass Valley. At this time, Sister Xiaoyu walked in with a smile. I found new rock pools behind Gundro Mountain in the northwest. Now the salt problem of the entire tribe has been solved. In the end, Yin Luyuan just smiled and nodded. So Sister Xiaoyu punched him angrily. It's you who made the wish again, right? Next time you pretend to be more sexy for me. Otherwise, I won't have any sense of accomplishment at all. Yin Luyuan screamed in pain after being hit so hard. Sister, please be gentler. Sister Xiaoyu rolled her eyes. Okay, stop pretending. Let me ask you something. Why don't you touch Kikich? Yin Luyuan suddenly fell silent. Why do you suddenly ask this? A little girl came to me and asked me aggrievedly. Is it because you are not good-looking? Said she already lives in the royal court. But you still don't touch her. Yin Luyuan whispered that he was still young. As a result, Sister Xiaoyu thought he didn't like the prairie girl. They clamored for him to go to the central plains and snatch two girls back. Yin Luyuan was stunned. Sister, does this sound like what you said? I'll take the girl back. How sad her family is. Sister Xiaoyu thought for a while and said, then take her whole family back. As they spoke, both of them laughed. In fact, Yin Luyuan knew that Sister Xiaoyu was just joking. And Sister Xiaoyu also knows that Yin Luyuan would not do such a thing. Just after a joke, Yin Luyuan obviously felt that he was in a much more cheerful mood. Suddenly his expression became serious. Sister, I may kill a lot of people when I go to the Central Plains this time. Maybe more than I imagined. Sister Xiaoyu is packing things. Suddenly the movement paused. Then come back early. Sister will cook porridge for you. Sister Xiaoyu answered some questions that were wrong. It seems like he is deliberately avoiding this question. At the same time, in the Holy Mountain, Wang Yun looked at the hard drive in her hand. I thought that if I go back, I will have an explanation. As for whether he can seize the lieutenant general position as the head of the intelligence system, then it depends on whether the contents of this hard drive are important. But there is still a layer of haze in Wang Yun's heart. Wang Wenyan and the master of Anjing Temple gave up the hard drive too quickly. He suspected there was something wrong with the hard drive. But even so, he has no way out. Wang Yun doesn't know why. In this dilemma, suddenly he remembered the 4 words the big liar said to him. Daxing Northwest. But how could he, Wang Yun, betray Kong just because of a word? After that, he rushed to the black market in the south without stopping. As a result, he met his more than 200 brothers on the way. Why are they here? The hidden stake in charge of security outside the camp came to Wang Yunku. Immediately shouted with joy. Sir, you are back. Wang Yun was confused when she saw this camp. Haven't you gone into the mountains? Didn't follow me. The more than 200 brothers who rushed out of the camp were also confused. Sir, weren't you the one who told us to retreat? We found the mark you left. At this time, Wang Yun almost spit out a mouthful of blood. He knows that brothers cannot tell lies. Someone must have changed the mark he left. That's why all the brothers retreated. He only has one thought in his mind now. The person who did this is really unethical and Taoist. But Wang Yun has no time to think about this now. Send me a message immediately to urge me to go back to Kongsher. No one from other intelligence systems along the way can be trusted. If someone approaches unexpectedly, he immediately prepares to fight. Kill without mercy. Now Wang Yun has snatched the hard drive from Wang Wanyan. He must use this thing to face the other two competitors. It must be unsafe along the way. The facts turned out to be exactly as Wang Yun expected. They were ambushed not far from Kong's bastion. But Wang Yun is also ruthless. He led his brothers to fight out of the ambush along the way. Fortunately, the other party probably didn't expect that Wang Yun could escape from the Holy Mountain. And none of my subordinates died, although the two competitors wanted to kill him. But don't make too much noise. As a result, there were not as many ambush troops as Wang Yun's. Wang Yun suddenly felt a little grateful to the person who cheated him. At least the other party tampered with the mark. Let him retain all his strength. When we arrive at Kong's barrier the next day, the soldiers at the gate seem to be ordered to interrogate them, deliberately delaying to prevent Wang Yun from entering the barrier. Is it possible for the company commander of the garrison at the gate of the barrier to Chief Wang Yun? We are also following orders here. You just need to come back in 3 days tomorrow. Wang Yun has a gloomy face. I don't know who ordered you, but have you ever thought about how dangerous would it be for you to get involved in my intelligence system? Your name is Qin Yuan, right? Your family lives at number 76 Diang Street. Have a wife and daughter. He also raised a woman in Shixing Street. She gave birth to a son for you last year. I remember that your father-in-law still has many old subordinates in the army, right? Your position as company commander was also given by your father-in-law. Do you think he would do anything to you if he knew you were abroad? The year before last, you got into a drunken fight. As a result, I beat people to death and did not pay any compensation. He also led troops to other people's homes to threaten the personal safety of the victims' families. Do you think these things about you are enough to warn a court-martial? Wang Yun's memory is really terrible. Qin Yuan's complexion instantly turned pale. As expected, people from the intelligence system are not something he can mess with. Qin Yuan struggled for a long time. Suddenly he turned around and said to his soldiers, "Open the door." Wang Yun smiled. This success must be rewarded later. After saying that, he led the team into the city. The first thing is not to report to Kong Donghai. Instead, he went directly back to his safe house in Kong's. Look what's on that hard drive. But he was shocked when he saw the contents of the hard drive. Wang Yun never thought that what she grabbed would be so important. If the contents of this hard drive are really valid, then Huazhong Company will be vulnerable in front of Kong. And he, Wang Yun, will also secure his position as the head of the intelligence system. Others are simply not qualified to compete with him. But he had to confirm the accident himself first. Only then can I present this thing. At this time Wang Yun has arrived outside the secret prison. The subordinate said from the side, "Sir, the Tinder guy has been taken out of jail." Wang Yun waited for the surveillance video to be turned off. Then I opened the door and entered the interrogation room. The T4 sitting inside was motionless. Protracted detention and interrogation. It's already made him physically and mentally exhausted. What else do you want to ask today? Wang Yun said nothing. Just took out a player he just brought. It contains the audio files he just copied. The next moment Wang Yun pressed the play button. A strange sound comes from the player. Then after T4 heard the sound, there was a puzzled look on his face. But 1 second later, this member of the Tinder company suddenly fell to the side. And foaming at the mouth, Wang Yun opened the opponent's eyelids. After confirming that the other party is really unconscious, walking out of the secret prison laughing, go straight to the bottom of Kongdong Pass. That's on the hard drive. Shockingly, it was an audio file targeting Pyro Company combatants. Like fire-controlling bird-catching pigs. These Fire Company fighters. Some genetic samples that are naturally controlled by humans have also been deliberately added, to make sure they never betray. just when Wang Yun walked out of the secret prison, but suddenly stopped. He always felt there was something fishy about this. Such an important thing. How did Wang Wanyan obtain? But he has returned to the Kong family. If you can't get anything valuable out of it, after the two competitors take over, I'm afraid it will be difficult for him to walk out of the Confucius house alive. So no matter what conspiracy is hidden behind this hard drive, Wang Yundu must continue to move forward. Just that night, the news that shocked Kong's family came out. The position of the head of the intelligence system is a group that night. But on the second day after Wang Yun came to power, everyone thought he would eliminate those two competitors first. After all, those two people intercepted him halfway. This is already considered a life-and-death relationship. But Wang Yun didn't do that. Instead, they began to secretly purge members of the Tinder company. This is a piece of audio that can kill people. Once someone hears, he would foam at the mouth and die on the spot. Just because some genetic samples that are subject to human control have been deliberately added to these people's bodies. As soon as Wang Yun got the audio, it is broadcast 24/7 on Kong's radio broadcasts in more than 20 barriers. 629 Tinder company spies were eliminated in one day. These numbers of people are enough to frighten all the senior officials of the Kong Corporation. For this reason, Kong Donghai once again approached Wang Yun to enter the official residence. On the one hand, it is to discuss the follow-up intelligence plan. On the other hand, Wang Yun was awarded the highest military medal. Originally, Wang Yun wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to talk about personnel tasks. Then he pushed out the two colleagues who had intercepted and killed him. As a result, Kong Donghai interrupted him directly. Those who achieve great things do not stick to trivial matters. Now you are their boss. Why bother to kill them all? But Wang Yun knows very well. The other party just wants to keep those two pieces of information everywhere. Just continue to check and balance yourself in the intelligence system. But Wang Yun is not in a hurry. The other party who owes him will have to pay back sooner or later. Suddenly the secretary hurried in. News came from the front line that all command and combat systems on the front line today, and the operating systems of the armored forces all failed. Kong Donghai suddenly stood up. How could such a thing happen? Have you found out what happened? The secretary glanced at Wang Yun. The technical engineer said this was a technical intrusion. The frontline military headquarters has just copied the audio file into the command system. That's what happened. Wang Yun suddenly frowned. Didn't I tell you? When copying this audio file, does the computer have to be disconnected from other devices? Why didn't the front line do it? He just had no choice before. Just took out the audio file. In order to avoid accidents, he even wrote a special operation manual, just to prevent problems with this audio file. But Wang Yun didn't expect. The front line did not do what he told them to do at all. Kong Donghai originally began to doubt Wang Yun. As a result, I heard Wang Yun say this. It's hard to blame Wang Yun for anything. Wang Yun said coldly. The person who performed this operation will be arrested immediately. I suspect he is a spy from the Wang family or Anjing Temple. The secretary was silent for 2 seconds. The operations staff officer who did this already committed suicide by swallowing poison. Wang Yun was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect An Jingxi to have calculated all of this accurately, although there is a problem on the front line. But Wang Yun feels that she should not have any responsibility for this. After all, he has already explained everything he needs to explain. As a result, when Wang Yun left and got into the car, but he found out that the driver was no longer his brother. Just when the vehicle is about to pass through an intersection, Wang Yun snorted coldly. The air inside the car moves like a cannon. The driver in front was pushed to the steering wheel by the huge impact. My head hit the steering wheel and I was bleeding. Wang Yun took the opportunity to jump out of the car and escape. But the vehicle behind immediately caught up with him. He even saw someone take out a pistol in the car. No time to think too much. Wang Yun raised her hand and pointed her palm at the vehicle behind her. Suddenly I woke up with a question. The invisible force blew the vehicle away. Then he quickly fled towards his most hidden safe house. Suddenly he slowly stopped. Soldiers led by Qian Yuan had already set up a roadblock at the intersection ahead. The most important thing is, More than 10 of his subordinates were controlled. There's a gun pointed behind everyone. When the subordinates saw Wang Yun appearing, they shouted, "Sir, go on your own. Leave us alone." But Wang Yun smiled bitterly in her heart. "How can we go here?" He raised his hands and walked slowly over. "I am innocent. Not finished yet." The soldier next to him knocked Wang Yun unconscious with the butt of his rifle. "Take him quickly to a secret prison. Wait until Wang Yun wakes up again. He is already sitting on the cold iron chair in the interrogation room." At this time, the door to the interrogation room was pushed open. Kong Sheng, the director of the intelligence division, walked in. Chief Wang probably never thought that he would be sitting here one day. As he spoke, Kong Sheng took out the photo from his coat pocket. "Throw it on the table in front of Wang Yun." Wang Yun looked. "I suddenly discovered that it was a photo of the holy mountain. In the photo, he seemed to be whispering something to Roland. Wang Yun's memory is super strong, so he just saw the photo. I recalled the scene at that time. The angle of this photo. It was obviously taken from the direction of the big fool." At this moment, Wang Yun began to curse in her heart. "You people in the Northwest are so wicked." Wang Yun even feels now. Modify the marks you left. Maybe it was also done by De Liang and Ren Xiaosu, although he has no evidence. But these two things are equally evil. But Wang Yun can't figure it out. Why should everyone target themselves if they have no grievances? In fact, Ren Xiaosu also asked similar questions to De Liang. He was thinking, is it really necessary to trick Wang Yun? The big liar's answer is that it is necessary. Because of a talent like Wang Yun, if we can't prosper the Northwest, he must be killed early. At this time, a war with the Tinder company quietly broke out. However, due to the negative frequency, I am afraid that I will lose ground in this war. At the same time, outside the Holy Mountain, the big scammer learned about the stock market collapse from the black market, and the white mask is actually considered as the ability of others, a puppet that can beat T5 hard. It is said that someone is still preparing to rank all extraordinary people. At this time, the big fool said to Ren Xiaosu, "Wang Yun only served as the head of the intelligence system for one day. Just put in jail." After talking about the big trick, he started to gloat over his misfortune. I can't stop laughing. Ren Xiaosu looked at him expressionlessly. Almost done. Only then did the big liar calm down. I have to rush to the stock market immediately. We can't really let Wang Yun die in a secret prison. It is a pity that such talents do not participate in the construction of Northwest China. I'm afraid that the core barrier is not something that anyone can break through if they want to. If it really can't be saved, just wait until I go to Wangshu to finish the matter. Let's go to the stock market with you. Although Ren Xiaosu kept saying that he would consider whether to go to the Northwest in the future, but the big liar keeps talking in his ears every day about Daxing Northwest. Privately, I still call you Marshal every day. Ren Xiaosu also unconsciously began to think about Northwest. The big fool nodded and stood up to look at everyone. This time we say goodbye. I don't know when we will see each other again. The world is far away. Let's say goodbye. Roland nodded. Say goodbye to this. May Qingshi and Northwest never be at war with each other. At this moment, the big fool suddenly thought of something. It is said that the northern nomads have moved south. Will soon reach barrier 176. But the 176 barrier should be able to keep them in the north. The words just fell. Replica Qingsheng smiled and said, not necessarily. 176 barriers are different from your 178. Other consortiums cut off their subsidies 10 years ago. I just hope that the uninvited guests coming to the grassland this time will be weaker. Otherwise, the 176 barrier may become history. 7 days later, on the border of the northern grassland, Yanliuyu in Juma is unforgettable. Every day in the future may face a battle. Don't take it lightly. Going south this time, Yen Luyuan did not lead troops to the 176 barrier closest to the grassland, but changed the direction. Go to Tinder's site. But when Yen Luyuan arrived at the border of the grassland, but he chose to stop. Stay where you are. Wait for the report afterwards. Early next morning, Hassan came to report. The other two large tribes were ambushed in advance by the 176 barrier. It looks like he's going to be buried outside barrier 176. The heads of several other tribes looked happy. Wait for the Puran and Hehe tribes to die. Then they will have no enemies on the grassland. Kuyin Luyuan thought for a long time. Then he looked at the happy leaders in front of him and said, "Ready to shoot. Let's go to barrier 176. Hassan was stunned. "I don't understand why the owner chose to go to wall 176. Yin Luyuan explained silently. "The population of the Puran and Hehe tribes is much larger than ours. If all their relatives died in barrier 176, how many years will it take for the grassland to recover? Hassan, what I want is the cattle, sheep, and subjects on the grassland. It's not about an empty prairie." Hassan and others were stunned. They feel each other's courage and ambition. Probably this is the magnanimity that the Lord of the Grassland should have. Yin Luyuan smiled. Barrier 176 is actually not as strong as imagined. A new dynasty is about to be born on the grassland. Why don't we use their blood as a sacrifice? At this time, after encountering an ambush, the Puran tribe and the Hehe tribe, the combat troops of the 176th barrier have been cut off from behind them. Palanki, the leader of the Pulan tribe, stands in front of the mountain, looking at the mountain road ahead. Finally, he reluctantly took out the dagger. "Plunge straight into the neck of your horse." That tall horse slowly fell down. Muddy tears flow from the eyes. Branch whispered, "I was too stupid to make you die with me. I probably won't live too long either. Don't worry, I will go to heaven to accompany you soon. The wind on the grassland will bring us together." The person next to me heard this. There is a feeling of despair in my heart that cannot help but grow out. In fact, everyone understands. If the cavalry is forced into the mountains by the enemy, that means there is no way out. Not far away, the leader of the River Valley clan, River Valley Yin, happened to be looking this way. Originally the two were competitors. Now we can only be a bereaved dog together. Hehe Yin sneered. "It's better now. Let's die together in Zhuolu Mountain. It's cheaper than the other guy. From now on, the whole grassland belongs to him." The person on the side said, "You don't have to be so discouraged. Maybe things will turn around." River Valley Yin sneered. "What's the turning point? Unless that kid can bring his 8 tribes to rescue him, do you think he would be so kind? And even if he comes, it won't be of any use. I don't want to fight the Central Plains people without guns. It's impossible. Several of my warriors are still awakened." But he wasn't shot to death by the Central Plains people. At this moment, the pursuers from behind are pressing forward. The sound of gunshots rang out from the bottom of the mountain. Blanche looked back. He was distressed to see the warriors of his tribe falling one after another. But at this moment, Blanche's personal attendant suddenly shouted, "You see, someone came from behind the Central Plains troops." Prunky and Higayan looked back together. 2 people arguing at the same time. It's weird. Higayan remained silent for half his life. How come he came? Shouldn't we be wishing that we would die in the Central Plains? Blanche thought for a moment and replied, "Maybe because we are all prairie people." Higayan sneered at this statement. "When did we have the concept of compatriots on our grassland? Don't we just follow whoever has the biggest fist? And what if he comes? Can bows and arrows defeat the weapons of the Central Plains people?" Everyone was silent. Everyone knows that what Higayan said is right. No tribe on the grassland rejects other tribes. This is the prairie law of natural selection between the weak and the strong. So they can only continue to blindly climb up the mountain, waiting for one's own death. At this time, I saw the cavalry in the distance slowly stopping. The young man on that horse has a unique temperament. The 2 people walked slowly toward Zhuolu Mountain together. The dark clouds above my head began to slowly condense. Lightning flashed behind the dark clouds. The entire sky seems to have become a huge whirlpool, to absorb everyone's soul. Planky and others on the mountain gradually forgot to escape. They stand on the rocks, watching this scene in awe. Where is the power that humans can control? It is clear that only gods can do this. The South China Sea is just a casual glance. The still shadow of heaven and earth echoes. Terrifying dark clouds and lightning continue to gather in the sky. Then the creek merged into a mountain torrent. Countless sand and stones began to surge crazily. And this is just one of his extraordinary abilities. At this time, Planchi and Gu Yin were a little frightened. The other party actually mastered the power of gods. No wonder many people on the grassland say that the other party is a divine soldier. In the past, Blanche didn't believe in the idea of gods at all. But now he believes it. The 8 tribes behind Yin Luyuan. At this moment, everyone had dismounted and knelt down behind the young man. Among the 8 tribes who took refuge in Yanliuyuan, not everyone has become a believer in Yanliuyuan. Before that, at least more than half of the herdsmen do not believe in Yanliuyuan. But they looked at the shocking swirl of dark clouds and mud above them. Look at the heavy rain on Zhuolu Mountain again. They have to believe it. Yin Luyuan once told Sister Xiaoyu, the believer's future must be consolidated by miracles one after another. This grassland is his natural home field. His followers have long been waiting for him to conquer them on the grassland. This is one of the reasons why Yin Luyuan decided to come to the grassland. This time, the 176 barrier combat troops almost came out in full force. But in the end, they ended up being annihilated. The flash flood lasted for 5 hours. Wait for the heavy rain to subside. Prang and Gu Yin have known each other for a year, silently and angrily giving instructions to his subordinates. Kill back. Now is our best chance to counterattack. At this time, Hassan came to Yin Luyuan. Owner, at this time, how about I lead the troops and fight in? Just take advantage of the chaos and kill Prang and River Valley Rock. Then their people will naturally surrender. Yin Luyuan smiled and shook his head. I believe they are not stupid. One night passed. Planky and Gu Yin walked out of the mountain with their faces covered in blood. Behind them are their insufficient warriors. Only 1/3 is left. And those who can survive are basically elites. Yan Liuyuan's strong filial piety. Surrender to me. I'll take you to barrier 176 to have a look. If you don't surrender, you will die here. Your soul can also look at me. How to do the things you can't do. Prang and Gu Yin have known each other for a year. They actually knelt down in front of Yin Luyuan at the same time. Prang knelt on the ground and yelled. The real gods finally arrived on the grassland. We, the Pulin people, will leap forward and backward from now on. Liver and brains smeared. Valley Rock held it in for a long time. I don't know how to show my loyalty. In the end, I could only yell. My River Valley is also deficient. From now on, there is no more power on the grassland. Can stop Yin Luyuan from completing the unification. Yin Luyuan smiled and turned his horse's head. Do you still have the strength? If there is anything else, just follow me. Look, the people of the Central Plains are actually not that noble. When the army arrived outside Barrier 176, Prang and others watched helplessly as the fortress wall suddenly burst. There are half the defenders on the wall. It actually fell from a high altitude with the cracked wall. What's surprising is, the falling city wall did not affect the rapid formation at all. A war comes down. None of the refugees died. And now, it was the first time that prairie people entered the barrier in more than 200 years after the disaster. Hassan whispered next to Yin Luyuan. Master, let's start. Yin Luyuan glanced at him. What a start. Massacre. The tribesmen in the back were very excited. They want to slaughter the city to show your glory. This is everyone's wish. Yin Luyuan was stunned for a moment. He looked at the tribal leader behind him. As expected, they all couldn't wait any longer. They lost too many people in this war. At this time, it is time to use the blood of the people of the barrier to pay tribute to their clansmen. But at this time, Hassan found that his master was silent. Yin Luyuan looked at this originally prosperous barrier, and the broken fortress wall behind it. If Sister Xiaoyu were here, you definitely don't want to see a massacre happen here, right? Pass on the order. No massacre of the city. First, find out all the managers in this fortress. I will kill anyone who kills randomly. Hassan is a little embarrassed. If you kill one of your own people because of the death of the barrier people, I am afraid. Yin Luyuan looked calm. That can only mean that they still don't understand who is the master of the grassland. The warrior behind moves very quickly. Just a few minutes. They asked several officials where they lived, and then dragged the fortress officials out of their homes. Yin Luyuan's eyes were calm. Kill all these people and hang them at the door. I didn't allow you to massacre the city before. Now I allow you to raid these people's homes. One person is not enough to copy a whole family. Finished. Planky and Higayan stood up excitedly. Those once prominent officials in the ramparts. At this time, everyone could only open their eyes wide in horror. A whine coming from the throat. The looting didn't end until evening. Suddenly Yin Luyuan saw the newspaper on the coffee table in front of him. On the header of the newspaper is written Hope Media. Yin Luyuan just turned the page slowly, waiting for him to become famous. But the moment he turned to the 5th page, this young hero will live. Only half of the 5th edition is available. I only wrote 2 lines of words. 61. Yin Luyuan is very familiar with this passage. I also know who said this sentence. That day, he saw the red spear piercing the opponent's abdomen, and then swept away by the flood. That flood was like irreversible time. Almost took away all his beautiful longings for this world. Yin Luyuan looked up and looked outside the villa. I want to go to Barrier 61 to find Ren Xiaosu. But when I look up, I saw the body hanging on the wooden fence shaking constantly. Purple-black blood is falling drop by drop to the ground. That's the man he ordered killed. It's also his sadness. And Hassan also gathered with tens of thousands of cavalry. Rough cavalrymen lined up on the long street. Even with myopia, I can't see the end. And all of these people suddenly dismounted and knelt on the ground on one knee. The birth of a new Coral King. The barriers are beginning to battle. Yin Luyuan stood up and silently lit the newspaper. Then throw it into the villa and set it on fire. Yin Luyuan stood in the flames, looking at the flames of Shinzhou. It's like looking at this decadent era. Elder brother, I can't go back. You said not to let the sorrow of the times become your sorrow. But I want my sorrow to become the sorrow of this era. Yin Luyuan took out a pair of black Qinglian Fong mask from his arms. Wear on face. Hide all his past. He felt that even this era no longer had the need to exist. The fall of Bulwark, 176. Soon it spread to the entire Barrier Alliance. Just because this is still after the disaster. The northern grassland people broke through the barriers of the Central Plains for the first time. And in this disaster, the most shocking thing is a mysterious supernatural being. That is, the master who now rules the entire grassland. At the same time, outside the holy mountain, Zhou Yinxue looked at Ren Xiaosu and said seriously, Sir, I want to discuss something with you. Now is the time when the Northwest is short of people. I've long heard that there's not enough food there, and my ability should be just enough to help them. Ren Xiaosu beside the campfire was puzzled. What are you going to say? Zhou Yinxue said loudly, ignoring the enemy. I want to support the construction of Northwest China. Since Zhou Yinxue met Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojing in the Holy Mountain, she was clearly arranged by Yang Xiaojing. Now she really has to serve tea and pour water every day, which is a bit unbearable for her. She even felt that she was inferior to her talents. Ren Xiaosu thought for a while. It's not impossible, but you have to do serious business after you go to the Northwest. Stop acting like a fox and pretending to be a tiger every day. Zhou Yinxue patted her chest and promised. But Ren Xiaosu looked at Zhou Yinxue suspiciously. She always felt that with the other person's character. If you go to the Northwest, your tail won't be raised to the sky. It's not a good idea to use your identity as a young commander or a maid to act tyrannically every day. After all, this is a woman who can wear 10 rings on her finger. Most people can't do this kind of thing. Before Ren Xiaosu could explain anything to Zhou Yinxue, this maid immediately packed up her things and ran away. For Zhou Yinxue, this is not to support the construction of the Northwest, basically running towards freedom. The big liar here also said goodbye to Ren Xiaosu. I'm leaving too. We got information here that Wang Yun is being held in a secret prison. It is said that Kong Erdong was very dissatisfied with the defeat on the front line. I want to have Wang Yun operated on. He will be court-martialed next month. I'm afraid the death penalty awaits him. Suddenly Ren Xiaosu asked, "What about after you rescued him? What are your plans?" The big fool laughed. "Of course, take him back to the Northwest to participate in the construction of the Northwest." Ren Xiaosu was stunned for half a moment. He always feels something is wrong, like the people around me. In the end, we have to support the construction of the Northwest, right? What went wrong? Li Shintan on the side looked at Ren Xiaosu. Then look at the big liar and others. How about I also support the construction of the Northwest? Otherwise, it seems a bit out of place. Ren Xiaosu couldn't laugh or cry. You are a mental patient. We should consider such things as being gregarious. Li Shintan feels a little regretful. Then I'd better go to the south and wait for the typhoon. It's good to see a different scenery too. But when everyone just left, Ren Xiaosu is on the horizon. I vaguely saw a steam train. Yang Xiaojing held up the mirror. There are more than 10 off-road vehicles behind the steam train. It seems that he is chasing Wang Tsongyang. Ren Xiaosu saw the person on the off-road vehicle behind. Tinder logo. It looks like they were being chased all the way from the holy mountain to here. Ren Xiaosu muttered, "Let's deal with Tinder first." Yang Xiaojing nodded and agreed. Then he refused to offer the black saw in his hand. Refreshing incendiary bomb. Let's just blow up the fuel tank. Wang Tsongyang, who was trying to escape. Suddenly I heard the roar of a sniper rifle. The off-road vehicle immediately behind him. Make an explosion sound. Wang Tsongyang looked back and was overjoyed. He looked through the window of the steam train. Shockingly, I spotted the Tinder vehicle behind me, turning into braziers one after another. Wang Tsongyang felt extremely happy in his heart. I don't know where this good guy came from. He even drew his sword to help when he saw an injustice on the road. As he spoke, Wang Tsongyang directly moved the steam train, heading towards the sound of sniper gunfire. Just when it's getting close, he saw Ren Xiaosu's outfit. Wang Tsongyang panicked, saw the Tinder company being attacked. He thought it was Wang's people coming. But the moment he saw Ren Xiaosu, he understood. Wait until all fire is dead. He will be the next to die. The steam train on the moor makes a sharp left turn. The backward movement of the turn in the inertia. It's causing the rear end of the train to swing up. At this time, Ren Xiaosu was about to pull the trigger. Blow up the last car in his target list. But not before he pulled the trigger. That car has already exploded. It was Yang Xiaojing who fired the gun. It was originally agreed that Yang Xiaojing would buy 4 vehicles. Ren Xiaosu drives 3 cars. As a result, Yang Xiaojing drove 5 cars. This is probably the master. Give the perfect gap. But the next moment, the last car in the fireball. A dark shadow jumped out. The clothes on the other person's body are burning with flames. But he didn't seem to be distracted. Ren Xiaosu frowned. There is even a T5. The man is obviously a coward who never dares to cause trouble. But he became the target of everyone shouting and beating him, even cause others. The pursuit at all costs. It was only because of his extraordinary abilities that he was reproduced. Inexplicably, he became the scapegoat. And when Ren Xiaosu saw the Tinder logo, I roughly understand Wang Chongyang. Why are you being hunted? After all, it was your own doing. Ren Xiaosu is not that strong either. But what he didn't expect was that Tinder company actually dispatched T5. This level of existence. I saw that T5 running wildly in the wilderness. The clothes on my body were burned by the flames. At this time, the target of this T5. He is no longer Wang Chongyang, but Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojing. Yang Xiaojing raised his eyebrows. Use black eggs? V sprints at this speed. Turnaround takes time. Can't avoid the black egg anymore. Ren Xiaosu felt a pain in her heart. You take a rest first. Let's not use black eggs first. I'm afraid I'll tire you. Yang Xiaojing pursed her lips and almost laughed out loud. He just likes to see Ren Xiaosu. This is obviously stingy. But he has to find a high-sounding reason.